Hi, my name is Ken Lasterson. This is a companion video for a specific blog post on my site. I figured because the person is sort of new to microbiome and is an interesting case, I figured I'll dive right into doing a walkthrough of how he can self-serve. I believe in teaching people to fish rather than them having to buy fish at the market all the time. So, successfully logged in. We go over to my profile, and in this case what we find is we have some key bacteria here. If we go and just click it to add to there, we see why they were selected, and believe me, you can see why. This is almost 62% of his microbiome is one particular species. He hits the top of the scale for how many he has, literally the top of the scale. So we can also see that by simply going over and hop over, then look at the statistics. And you can see where he is. This is using the transform, which I use to find things. The Kalthoff Moulthrop thing basically indicates where things are changing in terms of all the samples, indicating that we are entering a different type of reality. So it's up here. Anybody with 75% or higher is of concern. If you flip it over to as percentage, you really see it, because this here is the point where you're getting too many of this bacteria, and you can see up here it's almost a straight line there, and it's troublesome world. So where does he sit? He sits right at the top. Welcome to the top of the class. Okay, let's go back and see how we get suggestions. So this person I first went and did just for those two bacteria, actually one particular species, to see what suggestions are. But he came back to me and indicated he has a lousy diet. Okay, we know what the elephant is in the igloo. Let's take a look at the mice and ants and other creatures in the igloo, which are sitting at the side. Now you get enough of them going, and you may be able to chase the elephant away, especially if you can get a mouse going, since mice and elephants are notoriously familiar story. So the easiest way right now is just give me a suggestion. It does everything for you in terms of what I would usually do. And give it a second. Yes, I think I clicked it. Yes, I see it there. And then it gives you the suggestions, things not to take. For example, here's a common antibiotic. Don't take it. Minocycline is possible, but as I indicated in the study, antibiotic resistance is very, very likely, because this particular strain is known to develop antibiotic resistance based on having had other antibiotics recently. In this case, he has had 2, possibly 3 different types of antibiotics in the recent past, and the degree of resistance goes up with this copri when they're being there. So antibiotics are problematic. Then we have common suggestions, things to do, things not to do. Sodium butyrate is something to increase, things there, and things. So we have there. However, our concern is more about his diet. So click right here, more technical details. That takes us over to the consensus suggestion. And there we see everything. And now we can go and click something like diet style. And we see low carbohydrate diet, animal-based diet, high protein diet, all positive things. But some of this he's already doing. But we also need to take a look at the bottom. High sugar diet is bad. High saturated fat diet, which generally means burgers. Burgers are high in saturated fat. In general, one of the first things to always try doing, especially when you are dealing with overgrowth, is look at all of the negatives and try figuring out what you can easily eliminate there. Now let's go back up And that was diet style. We can go in and take a look at other things. Let's take a look there, and we have vitamin B3, niacin, zinc, a couple of there, selenium, magnesium. Notice that all the B vitamins are sitting in the negative, except for this one. But my usual take is if we have something which is both positive and negative, like vitamin B is a B complex, but each individual B ones are negatives, which means forget the B complex, only to do with the niacin. Zinc could help. Silver, crushable, selenium, possibly too, vitamin K2, all of them could contribute towards it in terms of supplements. Probiotics we have there, and we have the combination there. Many of the ones are either very hard to obtain as a pure probiotic strain, and so it's there, or hard to obtain because they're only available in certain countries, which is there. And then you get, if you go to the bottom, you will see that we have a lot of lactobacillus, bifidobacterium, all sitting there as negative, which means you don't want to have a probiotic complex. You want to have a actually very specific single strain probiotic whenever possible. And my usual suggestion to find those without additives is customprobiotics.com. Just spell it out as it sounds. And as usual, we have amino acid things here, and there we have tryptophan, etc. So some of those you may want to. However, one of the problems is things like that is okay. Either these are usually done as direct supplements, and that usually means you can get whopping big costs before you know it, or you have trouble finding it, period. That's why we have diet component derived from food suggestions. So let's go over and see what the best food suggestions are. Okay, number one, we have cheese, parmesan, etc. Now, cheese contains butyrate, which agrees with our earlier suggestion of sodium butyrate. In other words, it's a natural form of butyrate. We have mustard powder and anchovies. Anchovies, yes. On pizza, probably not. Moderate fat beef. Generally, hamburgers are made with cheap beef, which means high fat, goat milk, etc. Now, if you click on any of these, like mustard powder, you will get listed off what it has in terms of significant amount of things. For example, zinc, there, niacin, both of those are on the to-do list. Same with magnesium. So the reason they are picked is that they are higher than most foods per milligram in terms of what they do. Okay, let's get back to the prior suggestion. Let me just move things over. And there. Okay. So that's it. Miscellaneous foods. Let's see, in there, gallic acid, which is food additive. And then again, always take a look, sulfite food additives, which is usually high in prepared foods. So we have a bunch of things there, which are negatives. Again, when we're dealing with a high growth of something, really what you want to do is pay a lot of attention to the avoids, because you don't want to feed them. They will dominate the food absorption. You want to starve them out. So we have a list there of things to take, but it's mainly focusing on the two avoids. So we have here, and we have things like cranberries, teas, grapefruit, quercetin. All of those are to be avoided. And the one I would suggest as a supplement would be the fistin, which is very good and solid. And now that one could be a bit of a problem finding. I'm not quite sure where it came in, but it came in from one of the data harvesting. So that's basically it. That's the long and the short. Food excluding a particular tea if you can get it. Brown rice, extra virgin olive oil. Rare meat, again keeping with the low fat. Palm kernel meal, high resistance starch. Hot peppers. Dairy, which again comes back to the sodium butyrate as being a suggestion. Beef, again, lean beef, not burger beef. And asparagus, and then fish, and then down the bottom, let's go and click here to flip the slit. No chocolate, no eating beans. Actually avoid chicken. And then we have more and more things. So there's a big list there, and the person, oh, sodas. No sodas! Refined sugars. So that's basically it. That's the long and the short.